In this video, we're going to start to create the maze project. You start by clicking Project New, and by default, you're going to have a new project with one sprite and a stage that is now empty. The stage is going to represent the maze, so we need to draw the maze. We do that by selecting the paint brush, and we're going to go into the vector mode by clicking Vector. That will allow us to create individual objects that we can drag and change. We're going to select a blue color for our walls and the rectangle tool. And we can now start dragging some rectangles in our backstage that will create our maze. So let's make a few walls like this. And let's say that I want to change one of the walls. I can click on the select tool, which is this one, and try to select an object. It's not quite selecting it. Okay, here you go. And now I can move this wall around, and I can also make it a little smaller if I want to. Okay, so let's say that I'm pretty happy with my maze. Maybe have this wall shrink a bit, and this one go down a little bit to the bottom. So click, once you're happy with your maze, you can click OK, and you now have one costume for your background that represents your first maze. It's now time to start working on a sprite. So the sprite by default has one total costume. I want to have a different costume, and maybe I'll try to find the octopus. All the costumes are alphabetically ordered, so I'm going to go down and try to find the octopus. About right here. So I have an octopus A and an octopus B. So I'm going to select and import the octopus A, and maybe get another costume for my second sprite. And I like the little mouse. So I import two costumes. I click cancel. And so now we have two costumes for our sprite. Our game is going to start with the octopus. So I want the octopus to come quite on the corner of the screen. And I'm going to display its X in position and its Y position by clicking and selecting X and Y, so I know what the coordinates are as I move it around the screen. So I'm going to select the scripts and start working on the scripts for my octopus. By selecting Control, I can drag the when the green flag is clicked event. And that's the start of the game. At that point, I would like the octopus to be a little smaller. By going into the looks, I can change the percentage of the size of the octopus. So I'm going to set its size to 20% because right now it's quite big. And I'm also going to go into motion and make sure that it's going to the bottom corner over here. So I say go to X is equal to maybe minus 160 or 169. and y should be negative 150 maybe. And because I'm not quite sure, the first thing I want to do is to test it. And the best way to test it is either clicking on this block or clicking on the green flag. So I move my octopus away and I can click on the green flag. Well, it's not quite where I want it to be. I would like it to be there. So I move it around and I read again the X and Y positions and adjust them in my script. Once I do that, because I modify my script, I want to test it again. Okay, I'm quite happy with the size of my octopus and the position. Now it's time to, first of all, save my project. So I'm going to say save as, and I'm going to call it maze. So I know I don't lose my script. It's time now to make the octopus navigate. We want to make sure that the octopus can go up and can go to the right and go up again or go down if I need to. So to do that, I can go into the controls and I can decide if I want to react to a certain key pressed. So I'm going to drag this block and let's work on the up and down position. So I select the little arrow and I say, well, if my up arrow key is pressed, we want the octopus to go up a little bit. So going up means that we're going to change the Y position towards a positive number. So in motion, I can take the block change Y by and plug it in there and say, well, it's going to change by 10 units or 10 pixels. So we're going to try that. Okay. If you wanted to go slower, then you will reduce that number. If you wanted to go faster, you can increase it. Now I can do the same thing for the down arrow. And in that case, the octopus should go down, so we need to change the Y by negative 10. So you test it, it works. It can go up or can go down. Let's not worry about bumping on the walls right now, just the motion. So now it's your turn. You can do the same thing for the X and Y position. If I go towards the right or the left by pressing the right arrow or the left arrow.